Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to...
Are we hot? Are we hot?
Are we hot? I think we're hot.
All right.
Welcome to our home. My name is Katey Sagal. Hello.
Hello, Katey Sagal.
And you?
I am Kurt Sutter. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you, too. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you.
It really is. It still is.
You're a fine person.
You are, too. And after almost 20 years, I'm still happy to see him. So great. Anyway, welcome to our podcast, our homecast. Welcome to Pie. What does Pie stand for, Kurt?
People, influences, experience.
That's right. And before we get into introducing our really so happy that he's here guest, should we chat a little about us?
Yeah.
Like, how was your week, honey?
Oh, God.
Oh.
I've been away. I dipped back for 48 hours to see my lovely family. I've been in the outskirts of Alberta.
I know. He's been there. Ready to start. First day starts. He's shooting his new show.
Shooting The Revenant 3.
Nope.
It's just about the bear.
Just about the bear. Exactly. Anyway, so things are going well. Yes?
Things are going very well.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I love that.
I'm a little bit
I know,
spent, but I'm good.
He's here.
I'm here
That's all good.
Because we love pie.
We do enjoy doing this, and we're so glad that you're tuning into our podcast.
And we really love the inspiration behind Pie, who is with us today.
Oh, is he the inspiration?
Absolutely.
Well, he's inspired me
not
for
the
many
podcast,
years.
but the idea of pie.
Oh,
the
that's
metaphor
right.
of
Back
pie.
to the
Let's say who it is.
All right.
Mr. Theo Rossi.
Oh, my fave.
Oh. Your experience growing up, what was that? As far as your home situation,
where you're from.
Yeah, and were you did anything in your system of family educate you in terms of the right thing or represent, hey,
don't do this.
Yeah, don't do this. Like for a lot of my generation, it was like, our parents did the best they could, but a lot of it was like, all right, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Latchkey kids, right? I think this is the way I look at this whole thing because I think about it every single day. And the reason I think about it every day is because I will think about it for the rest of my life. There isn't a moment where I don't think about how my past has impacted me. I'm a product of a tremendous amount of loss in every way, right? I also believe that parents were coming from a different generation from my generation, meaning that their parents thought that the kids worked for them, right? That's what they were there for. And then my parents didn't want to be parents. They just were supposed to be parents. So at 18, 19, they're getting married, having kids. And then all of a sudden they realize they never lived their life. So what happens is, for me, in my situation, my father's gone when I'm 8. He goes to jail. And then my mom and him have this horrific kind of relationship forever. So until, I found out he passed away on the internet many years later, which is, I knew from a very young age that he wasn't supposed to be a father. It didn't mean that he didn't teach me anything in the short time that I was able to spend with him. But I also believe, just like in our job, just like in life, you learn more what not to do than what to do in this life. And everything I've taken from my past, all our time together, all my time with anything was what not to do in this life. And then I eventually get closer to what to do.
Right.
And maybe when I'm older, I'll get to like what really it is.
Were you angry with your father? With all those years gone?
Yeah. I think that's what led to the abuse of myself for a long time. I felt like I didn't deserve anything because if he was able to leave a young 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, then we must be shit. And if I'm shit to him, then I guess I'm shit to everyone, right? So let's see if that's the case. and I'm a lost boy in a way, if that's the case and I'm shit, let's let the rest of the world know. So what do? You start to abuse yourself. You abuse anybody else that comes in your way. And ultimately what happens is, and we all know about this, is you start to also really think you're worthless. And when you think you're worthless, nothing's out of the realm, as in the way you're going to treat yourself. So you want everybody to know you're worthless, but yet it's a cry for help. You're really crying for attention. You just want someone to hug you. You just want someone to love you. So yes, I was angry, and then I wasn't. And now I'm not at all.
How was your relationship with your mother? So you basically were raised by a single mom?
Yep. Yeah.
And you and your brother, right? You have an older brother?
My sister. I had an older sister.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what was that? How did mom maneuver that? Was she a working mom? Was she gone a lot? Was she there a lot? How did that work?
She wanted to have a life. She wanted to meet someone.
Oh.
She was in her 30s. Like, she wanted to,
yes.
She lost her life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
She was stuck with these kids, with this deadbeat dude, and then she's sitting there like, wait, what happened to me? What about me?
Right.
How did this happen? And she tried her best. She had my Nana there, and then my Nana, who was the closest person to me in my life, she was living with us. She passed when I was 14. And it was always someone else. There was always someone else. So my mom and I's relationship is really great now.
Good.
But we've never been, it's never been like, I don't know. It's just more of like we were all growing together. We were all figuring it out. I mean, to give you like one example, I mean, I got so drunk on my like prom night in high school that like, I had like a freak out, and I got brought home, and like, it was me and my mom. My mom's putting like cold cloths on my head and like,
right.
trying to calm me down. But it's like, we had this very interesting relationship because she got remarried to my stepdad, who's a wonderful guy. I'm unfortunately, I gave him a lot of hell when I was young. And, I've come to find out how incredible he was for what he did, coming in with a woman with 2 young kids, and what that really takes as a man to do that, and to really just kind of step up in that way. So my relationship with my mom is complicated, but interesting. She's very funny.
Oh, great.
She's very strong, and she's very tough. She's never not worn the pants.
I got
She's the tough one.
Right.
I wonder how that influenced your relationship with women, which is always interesting to me. They talk about, like, I remember always being told, only date a dude that really likes his mom, that gets along with his mom, and the opposite. Like, a guy a woman needs to have a good relationship with her father. So that's
they always say that. I mean, you got to remember, my father was my birth father. I always say, was like a tremendous womanizer. I mean, in every way. I think like my mom at one point said he cheated on her with like 8 women in 1 week, and it was because she had like a private eye follow him. Like, he was like,
man.
he was like a full blown like womanizer.
He was busy.
He was busy. Yeah, he was busy.
No, it's just interesting. It's always interesting to me, the partners we choose. Like, for the healthier I get, the healthier partners I choose. But
Right.
for years, I picked, one parent or the other. That's really what those relationships would translate into. I could figure out, I'd pick a guy that I was a little bit afraid of because I was afraid of my dad. I'd pick a guy that was a little bit broken because I was always taking care of my mom. It was just sort of that situation.
Theo, listening to that piece of information about your dad, like, I mean, clearly he was a dude running away from something, and it wasn't just the family, right? Do you ever have moments, either with your partner or your kids, where you'll suddenly feel like an echo of something that might be behavior that is bad, or that traumatizes you, that scares the shit out of you?
Like, do they come out?
Like, whenever I feel my dad, like whenever I feel behavior or something coming out of me that was, a less than effective tool of my father's or something, I'll feel it, and I'll be like, oh, what am I?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is,
I think when I was younger and didn't have the tools to understand them, I think when I was younger and didn't realize that I was doing it, or wasn't aware and I wasn't in acceptance of who he was, that he was just a flawed human.
Right.
That he was just on a different path that he needed to be on. But ultimately, the way I think that I've moved on from a lot of that was every single thing up until 5 minutes before or 2 minutes before we've gotten on this has happened for a reason in my life. If I didn't have exactly what happened, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't have my children. I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have none of this. So I thank him now all the time. And in thanking him, I don't really remember the bad behavior. I remember him being very funny, very sarcastic. I remember him always having the wandering eye. I remember him being the center of attention in every room he was in. And I wish that I would have understood that he just shouldn't have been a dad. I think I would have had a much better relationship if I just understood that he should have just never had kids.
Yeah.
You know, everything you talk about is so interesting because you learn it in hindsight, right? I mean, I remember when I first, every developmental part of life, I remember the first time I screamed at my 2 little kids and I heard my father's voice come out of my mouth. That's when I learned, oh shit, I'm doing the thing that I don't want to do. Yeah. You know, when I've been married, you know, and suddenly I'm talking to my partner in a way that is foreign to me, but it's definitely mirroring something that I've obviously experienced or seen. And that's how I learned. But I think just like it goes back to the point of what you said, Theo, about how you're different in every situation. Like every situation is new. I still think that process goes on, at least for me, and I still make mistakes.
Oh yeah, how can you not? How can you not?
I still, you know, I understand so much more than I actually am able to incorporate.
Right. But it's, you know, it's also that awareness, how it, as to your point, Theo, in you know, in each situation is a different experience. I also believe that for me, it's the awareness, and suddenly you'll hear something or see something, and it's incremental, right? It's never, for me anyhow, it's never like, oh my God, but it's like, oh, you just get that little piece of information, that awareness of either a piece, whether it's a piece of trauma or a piece of behavior that no longer serves you. You get to the point where you can no longer go, I don't see it. You know, like it just,
denial doesn't work.
Yeah,
anymore.
it gets through, and then this is just me, but I always have to. It doesn't end with the awareness. It ends with incredible discomfort of the awareness. That's when I'm willing to change, right?
I think discomfort is the greatest teacher in the world, in every way. I think being uncomfortable, I thrive in being uncomfortable. I don't like to be comfortable. That's why I don't really like vacations or doing nothing. I actually prefer to be uncomfortable because I think it teaches me something. Being comfortable doesn't really teach you.
Yeah, but do you know that while you're uncomfortable? Like when you're in it, like I'm uncomfortable right this minute. Do you have the conscious awareness of like, this is great? Do you?
I think that
or is
there
it
are
in
things
hindsight?
that I choose. Yeah, no, I think that when I'm in it, like I make an effort, and I haven't missed in a long time. I run every single day. People go, how do you run 5 to 8 miles every day? I run every morning. I despise it. I don't like a second of it. I don't love any of it, but I do it every single day, 150 miles a month. I have to do it because it helps me in who I am. I don't like it, but I like what it does for me. I like what it gives me in my brain thought. I like what it gives me physically. I like what it teaches my children. I like that the uncomfortableness of it,
I get it,
leads somewhere. So I think that sometimes these things, these experiences like Kurt was just talking about, for me, some of them you need to experience multiple times, these things wrong, multiple times, right? Especially for me when I was younger, like, you know, how many times are you going to black out, or how many times are you going to do this, or how many times, and then all of a sudden there's this moment where you go, I'm not doing this anymore. This doesn't work. I've learned. But I think what you don't realize is you were learning a little on every one of them. On every time you turned it away, on every time you said no to it, on every time you said, I'm going back in, I don't care. On every time you're, you know, for me, it was like, I'm going to go do another bump of Coke, or I'm going to do this and drink, I'm going to do that. You would do that knowing that what you were doing was wrong, but not as wrong as the first time that you made that decision not to do it. Yeah. And then eventually you get to that point where you go, this is pointless. I'm not doing this. One of my buddies, who, you know, is the closest human to me in my life. I mean, you know, for me, and I don't even like talking about it because people get so weird with it, but it's like, I choose not to drink, right? It's just one of the things I choose not to do for my life. My wife drinks, everybody I know drinks. It's amazing for them. I choose not to. But I have friends that probably would do better if they didn't. So all I can do is be the example to them. And some of them, who are now sober 2 years, it took them 13 years of watching me. I'm on 15, 13 years of watching me to get to where it is. But my consistency helped them eventually realize it, right? So this is where it goes back to that you're the example for more than you know, for more people than you're showing to. So those are just experiences, because that person who's sober 2 years in my life, he went through so many of the experiences that I went through in the 13 years of my not drinking, for example, that he needed to see, even though every time he'd go, I'm trying. And now hopefully it sticks. Right. So I think that it's just the experiences that of all the thing. And when we go back to the parent stuff, I don't know. I used to be really angry. And it used to really help me in my work. It used to help me in my life. I think that I was driven by anger a lot, competitiveness and anger and kind of the way it is. I'm now at a point of acceptance of it that I think that if you can, it doesn't mean it goes away, but it's the acceptance of that. Why was I holding this person to a higher standard? They were just a human. They were just a person like all of us, who just didn't need this, that didn't want this and chose something else. And ultimately, when he died young, I would think, because, you know, weird story of how I knew the nurse and all that, he died alone. Maybe he did think I chose some wrong things, or maybe he didn't. Right. But either way, that's his thing. It's not my thing.
Very good.
And just because I'm blood related to him, it had nothing to do with me, in a way.
Right.
See, Theo, this is what I've always, you've always been this self-aware dude. You've always were this way. We were with you at the beginning of all this journey for you.
Even when we couldn't find you.
I remember having these conversations with you. I must be over 15 years, whatever it was. Yeah. And you always had such a, like most people, most addicts that I know, which, Kurt and I talk openly about our recovery as well.
Sure.
Have enormous amounts of self-awareness. And the self-awareness, like we say, kind of helps us, but is not ultimately what helps us. It's almost like we know so much, and then something just happens, and then we have to make a change. We just, like you just explained, it's like it was enough, and you physically had to make a change.
But what you guys don't realize, and I'll say it now, what you have to realize is that, and I'm so aware of this, if it isn't for the show, I don't meet you guys, right? And if it isn't for little things you don't even remember. And I tell this story all the time, Katey, so I'm going to tell you. It was whatever season it was, I don't even remember, probably season 2, season 3. You and I were in the makeup trailer. I was incredibly hungover. And it was one of those really rough times where it took me like a few days, because I never, ever drank when I worked, but I would drink on a day off, and then, 2 days later, it's still impacting you, whatever. And you and I were in the makeup trailer, and I was sitting back, and you said to me, it's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard, and you probably don't remember it. You said, hey, this job that we do is hard enough. Don't make it any harder. Don't be your worst enemy. And it was like 14 light bulbs went off in my head where I went, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I going to do this, or am I going to, like, why am I doing this? What would be, I've somehow glided into this position. And then what I think also is then I started the process. I was at your guy's house. We went where we went. We did what we did. And then I garnered trust from Kurt, from other people to start this journey. Now, that leads to everything. When I say it leads to everything, it leads to the boot campaign, which somehow I reach out to, how I meet my wife, why I have my children, how I live in Austin, how I'm now 15 years on this journey, how I then learn how to be not numb to my emotions, but how I'm able to touch my emotions to be better at my job, how I'm able to go deeper into, and it all starts with one line in a makeup trailer. Now, to me, whatever led to that, how it gets there, what the world puts in front of you, it's irrelevant. But at that moment, I was ready to take it in, because it wasn't the first time somebody said something to me.
Exactly.
It was probably the millionth. Mm. But it was that hit me, whether it be because it was you, whether it be because of everything and how it went. But then the way you two embraced me, and the way you said, and there was no pushing, there was no, it was just tough. Hey, we understand. This is us. Kurt's like, I'm from Jersey. I understand. I get it. This is the thing. This is what you're doing. Just for us, try this. Let's see how this goes. And the way that went is everything. Mm-hmm. And so I can't explain everything. It's everything.
And you have done that for many more people than you realize.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Like you just being you, and like you said with your friend who's now 2 years on the path, you didn't say, who knows what you said. And you're just being you.
Here's what I remember, Theo, and I think it's why it was easy for me to help open the door for you, is I just remember you being exhausted by the process of trying to figure out, if I'm this, try to figure out how do I do this and still be what I like. I could see how mentally and spiritually and physically exhausted you were by trying to control and figure it out. And it wasn't like you had 1,000 DUIs and blah, blah, blah. No. And that was my journey. My journey was like, my obsessive brain was fried because I was trying to figure it out. And and then it was just a matter of like, okay. Do you know what I mean? So that like your willingness,
yes,
like I could feel that sense of, I don't know what to do. And for dudes like us, like that's worse than the worst thing. Not knowing what's next or what to do or how to do it is terrifying. And
here's why you don't know it. Because if you've never seen it in your life, right? It's like when I somehow got into this business that we're in, I had never met anyone who was an actor. I had never known anyone who was in the business. Wow. I knew nothing about it. So I was able to be free of anything because I didn't know anything, right? Now, on the flip side of that, I had never met someone who was sober. I had never met someone who didn't drink to abundance, right? Who didn't drink every time they were out and anytime they had a day off and didn't go crazy on the weekends. I was in a culture where I had my first drink at 11. I was always around people who drank. I experimented with drugs. I was doing mescaline at 14. I was doing this. And it's not to celebrate it. I was a mirror of everything that was in front of me. And it isn't until you see another thing,
right,
that you go, wait, what do you mean? You don't eat broccoli? What do you mean you don't eat broccoli? I love broccoli. And you go, well, did you ever try not eating it? And you go, wait, why? I thought everybody does. And it was that's exactly the way it was. And in certain situations, that's really helpful to be unaware. In that situation, it's not helpful to be unaware. And I started meeting people in the realm we were in that they were like, nah, I don't drink. And I was like, I don't understand. So I was exhausted because it's almost like knowing you're doing something wrong to yourself, but not knowing there's another way out of it.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
Had no idea. And I think that just comes from the way what I was able to see when I was younger. I just was able to see things at a very different time. Everybody smoked, everybody did this, everybody did that. And it's wonderful. And for some people it works wonderfully. And for me, it just didn't.
Well, it's probably, it works till it doesn't work anymore. And it serves for me, I always say, drugs and alcohol saved my life in a way because I was self-medicating with some really uncomfortable things that were going on and within around me until they stopped working. And then, what happens is then we become humble. We become willing to say, my tools are not working anymore. And before you know it, you're exposed to people that have a whole new set of things. But clearly you get to a place, and you got to the place of letting go of control. Yeah. Letting go just enough and to get someone else's idea.
Yeah, then you just shifted somewhere else.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. And we know I'll never forget being on set, and we would always talk about food and what we're eating. Yeah. And I'll never forget the day Theo comes up to me and Maggie, he goes, I found this app. You guys are going to love this app. And it's the one where you write your food down all the time and it tells you what you do.
Yeah.
And we were all obsessed with writing our food down and how much exercise and it shifts around, just moves around. But at least it's not killing you, So, well, it could.
Sober distractions.
Yeah.
Hello, I am so excited to tell you about our new sponsor, NordVPN, which I am just getting schooled about myself. But NordVPN is this really cool thing that protects your data while you're traveling. So if you're on the Wi-Fi that you're not familiar with, nobody can steal your data. It also, if you want to watch a sporting event or your favorite TV show, but you're in, I don't know, where could you be? You're in Iceland, you're in Japan, you're somewhere, and you can't get them. This NordVPN will help you to get all your favorite stuff, all your Netflix, all your favorite things. So I'm so glad they have come aboard Pie, our podcast. NordVPN is the price of a cup of coffee a month. Wow. And this part I'm reading. And your account can be used for up to 6 devices. To get the best discount on your NordVPN, go to nordvpn.com/PieVPN. And then our link will give you 4 extra months on your 2-year plan. And there's also a money-back guarantee. I mean, you really can't lose. You can only win. My motto. Hello. We also have another new sponsor, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned food, ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. And then you can put it all together yourself. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You can just count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why I didn't even know this, but it's America's #1 meal kit. That's pretty good, being #1. So that is our new sponsor. We love HelloFresh. And our family, we recently decided to go vegetarian/vegan, and as I call it, chegan, because I cheat. So we chose the meatless meal options for those days when we're going Kurt's completely plant-based. I'm the chegan. So we chose the meatless, the meal options, and the food was so good. It's so delicious. Some of the incredible recipes in our box were yellow squash flatbreads and roasted veggie farro bowls. Happening. I love farro. HelloFresh makes it so easy that they send you all the pre-portioned ingredients along with these very simple instructions, and you have a healthy meal for you and your family in just minutes. This other really great perk about this other really great perk about HelloFresh is they have pre-portioned ingredients, and it helps food waste up to 45% compared to grocery shopping. So there you go. You're eating really well and you're helping the planet and you're smiling because that's such a good thing to do. We absolutely have been loving HelloFresh and how easy it has made our life when we are always on the go and do not have a lot of time to put into meal prep. And I know some people do. Some people really are committed to the meal prep. I can't quite wrap my brain around it. So I like a food delivery service. I like HelloFresh. Go to hellofresh.com/pie apps for free appetizers for life. Wow, that is amazing. One appetizer item per box while subscription is active. That's free appetizers for life at hellofresh.com/pie apps. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. It sort of has answered my one question, which was I was just going to say, what about your childhood, not that you still find doing, but the things that you would have changed. And what I know about you, Theo, is that you are an amazing provider. You have set an incredible example for your children. You're still married. All the things you have just described growing up, you have clearly been able to take a different course, to switch the story.
Yeah, I think you gotta, if you choose to break, as they say, generational curses or whatever it is, if you choose to do, for me, it was just, I believe to earn eternal life, everybody searches for it in every way, but to earn it is to if you have children, in my case, it's through them, right? Kane and Arlo will be a version of me, and I'll be in their attic of their brain for as long as they exist. And then if they have kids, it'll be the same thing, right? And even if not, you can have that same exact thought process through the people you're around in your life. That's how you have eternal life, by living a certain way. I know that for me, I could never change a single thing about my childhood because it serves me in everything. It serves me in my job, mainly. It serves me in my parenting. It serves me in everything that I do. Right. And that, by the way, is the bad and the good, right? And I'm fully okay with it. Like, I'm okay that I really don't like people anymore. Like, I just have this thing where I think that if we all opened our eyes, people are the problem.
We love you,
right?
Theo. We absolutely love you. We hear you, right?
Man. People are the problem. So I just try to stay away from them. We're in a business that is really strange. It's an ego, narcissistic, strange, but I don't blame them either because everybody's fighting for their life. Yeah. Right. And it's they're just part of the system that they're reflective of. And for me, I get so much joy. We live out here on this ranch and I'm with the animals all the time. And I just get joy out of life has a way of you get quieter as you get older. Yeah. And you start to get really reflective of I needed this to happen. I needed that. Even when we spent all those years together, I feel like that's a completely different person. But I'm so glad I had that person. Right. I'm so glad that person was around and I was able to exist as him for a long time. But now I'm just I don't know, you get to this place where you're just okay, I guess. And you're cool.
So tell me something. So you never knew an actor. You never saw an actor. How old were you when you decided I want to be an actor? Or did somebody find
23.
you? And
23.
What bit you? What was the thing?
Nothing. It was the strangest situation in the world. So I had spent my college career. I went off to college. I really thought I was going to play football. I had a couple of different scholarships to these different schools, like small schools, like Canisius up in Buffalo. And all my buddies wanted to go to SUNY Albany. So I went. It was right around the grunge era. I was reading a lot of Rollins. I was reading a lot of Bukowski. I was not in a position. Sports kind of started to become silly to me. I wanted to like drink coffee and like, you know, like do different thought process in my mind, question life and read like Nietzsche and stuff. So I was like in a different place. So I dropped out of school. And then I went to work at a restaurant and I had my first car ever was like a 68 Mustang. I was like, that I bought for $500. And I was like, I'm making all this money as a waiter. I'm just going to do this. Like, this will be my life. And then my friend's mom, and this is why I believe you have bumpers in your life. If life is like a game of bowling, occasionally people put bumpers up. My friend's mom, who is very successful in her life, she turned to me and she said, hey, listen, you didn't really give school a fair shot. Why don't you go back? Because her son was there. And why don't you go back different? Why don't you just go back and everything you did, do the opposite. Be more social. Do this, do this. And the long story short, I did it. And I had a great, time. But ultimately, I found my way into hustling. And what I did was I really started to become a bit of an entrepreneur in the drug trade. And that was kind of what I did. Oh. That was all I cared about doing. And I got to this really fascinating point where I had a lot of people working for me. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to be great at it. And then a couple of circumstances happened that weren't good. And I made a decision that you can't spit in God's face twice. Something had happened. I said, if I do this again, I'm not going to have the life that I hoped for, even though I don't know what that life is. So I left and I was 22. I stayed there much longer than I should have. And I left and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And my mom still has a flower girl christening dressmaking company, big factory. And she was designing. This is what she started when she was a single mom. So it was at the time where like the internet was coming around. So I was trying to help her with that. And my buddy, who was a pharmaceutical sales rep, was taking an acting class. And it was right next to this bar on 15th and 5th, the Lee Strasberg School. And they would all go to the bar after it. And I went and I was like, wow, this is crazy. You guys just like go to class and like go to this bar and like all these kind of people are here. I was like, what kind of people are these? Like, it was just, I had not been around people like this. And I was like, and in every sense, like the guys, the girls, it was just like a whole different realm of human being because I was used to like thugs. Like I was just used to people who were not this. So I started to get interested and I started to go and I would just sit in the back of the class because I wasn't going to do shit. I had money. I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And then, long story short, someone came in to do this independent film that never got made. It was called Born at the Wrong Time, and it was about a young drug dealer and this and that. And I met with the guy, and I didn't know what sides were. I didn't know how to read, and I got the film, and I was terrible in it, and it was a terrible film. It never came out, and I don't think he even finished it. But I went, oh, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And me and my 5 best friends in a 1985 Honda Civic and a 1974 Cadillac powder blue drove to LA and took us 11 days. I don't remember most of it. And when I got there, I started my life. Wow. And then the bumpers came in. I had a lot of bumpers. And I didn't get my first job till I was like 24, like real job. I started as an extra. I mean, if anyone ever, I've done it all. I did tons of extra work to get my SAG card. Then I had one line in Malcolm in the Middle. Then I did this independent film with Dan Hedaya where I had like 3 lines and Paul Gleason. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I got 3 episodes as a co-star. And I just it was my relationships and my life and the fact that I didn't know anything. I didn't understand that I wouldn't keep sides in my hands. I would just meet people. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I would just say to people, let's do this or let's do that. And I did everything. I had a million jobs, and then my life changed in 2008 when I met you guys, and it completely changed. And I know you probably don't remember, but I mean, I read for every damn role on that show.
Did he?
Every role. I read for Jax. I read for Half Sack. I read for Hawk. I read for every role you can read for. And Kurt, I don't know if you remember this. I still have the card somewhere. Wendy called me up because Wendy and I had been really good friends. Wendy O'Brien's the casting director of Sons of Anarchy.
She adored you.
She had cast me in a few things before it. And she called me up and she said, hey, listen, Kurt wants to talk to you. And I was like, and at this point, weeks had passed by. And I was like, okay. And I was testing for a pilot.
I think I remember that.
And I was testing for a pilot, and you said to me, you said, listen, I don't know if you're going to have 1 line or 100. I don't know if you're going to be in this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just want you on the show. But I don't know what I'm going to do with you. And I was like, great, let's do it. And we hung up, and I called my manager at the time, and I said, hey, I'm going to do that show. Like, and everybody always debates this, but when I was told it was called Forever Sam Crow, maybe that was a fake name.
No, it was.
Whatever.
Right.
It was.
It was Forever Sam Crow.
Yep. Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do the show. And she said, you're testing for a pilot. And I said, no, I'm going to do this. She said, you're going to get paid like a co-star or something. Like, there's no guarantees or no. And I said, no, but this is what I'm supposed to do. I said, I'm supposed to do the show. And that's a longer story. I knew I was supposed to do the show. And she said, if you do that show, I can't represent you anymore. I said, okay.
I love you.
And I did the show.
So great. That's a great story.
Changed.
That is a great story.
And my whole life changed. And the truth is, you know, the way the world works, season 4 is really when Juice kind of came alive. And that's when Netflix had the first 3 seasons. The 3 seasons went on Netflix, and the show totally changed. Season 2, with the situation with Katey, changed everything for our show with Rollins and all them. Here I am. I went from reading Rollins' books and dropping out of college to him sitting next to me in the makeup chair. Everything about it was, I knew I was supposed to do it. Right. And it never, and when I say, again, everything leads to everything, there's always a beginning. And that, even though I'd been acting for 8 years, even though I did 40 guest stars and did a bunch of pilots, that's the beginning of my life, technically.
So great.
Which is crazy.
I love that.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's you know.
I think you should ask Theo the lore question.
Oh.
This is our favorite question.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I always phrase it differently each time, but I ask the question because I've had the experience a lot myself, which is there's a certain book about who I am and who people expect is going to walk into the room, right? In terms of lore is a big word, but an expectation of perhaps who I am, what my behavior might be, what they should expect. And I've been guilty of leaning into that in some circumstances. I've been guilty, you know, there are other times where it's haunted me. And now, to your point, I'm not rewriting the book because I can't. What I can do is add new chapters. And that's what I feel like I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, right? But to that end, is there a book or an expectation of who you might be when you walk into a room, and does it, you know, what's the impact of that on you?
Yeah, does it ring true?
Does it ring true? Or do you, you know? Do
you have to change? You know, in other words, when you come in, like I can give the example of Kurt, he can be, some people can think, is he going to be like scary or you know, angry or whatever? And he's not, you know, he's really not. So that's kind of like, what do you think people think of you when you walk in the room?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it's changed a lot, right? For me now, you know, the word that I try to project in myself with everything is consistency in my personality of who I am, right? I'm that person that you know, if you have a hair on your nose, a long hair, I'm going to tell you. If your breath smells, I'm going to tell you. Like, I try to be consistent in who I am. I think the expectation of Theo when he comes in now, and I can't believe I just referred to myself in the third person like The Rock, but I think it's like right now at this point is I try to always just be the most rational person that comes in the room, especially in what we do. Really, the only time I'm around people is in the business, right? I don't really, you know, when I'm outside of work, I'm pretty much just with animals all day and my kids and my wife. And I try, like I said, I avoid, you know, humans at all costs. But when I'm at work, when I'm going to meet people, whether it be meetings or whatever, it's to kind of break down the nonsense and just be as honest and easy and just like, hey, we're both just two people existing. And I think that's what's become my kind of MO when I walk in, where it's just like, hey, this dude is kind of just what it is as advertised. Like, I'm just coming in. Now, when I'm adding chapters, you know, adding chapters is I think what I've been, especially the last few years, I really can't stand nonsense anymore and the falsehoods of humans. And I just try to make that very clear. So when I come in, it's let's just be who we are. And by the way, if you're an asshole, be an asshole. I love it. Just let me go my way and you go your way. And if you're a great person, let's be great people together. So mine is consistency. I'm a marathon runner by nature. You know, I like the endurance of life and relationships and just being consistent, especially in today's world where everyone is someone new every 5 seconds in the way they're trying to portray themselves. And for me now, it's just consistency. And I think what the expectation is, yeah, listen, for a long time it's funny. No one ever wanted to be around me up until I got some type of recognition in this business. Mm-hmm. I was not a person people wanted to be around.
Why is that?
And then all of a sudden, because I was
Were you
not
scary?
No, I just wasn't. I was unpredictable.
Oh, okay. Get that.
I was unpredictable. I was very unpredictable in my behavior. Nothing was ever the same. It was just, what are we going to get now? Like petting a rattlesnake. Is he going to be? What's going to happen here? And I've become consistent in who I am because I've become comfortable in who I am. And that's who I am. I'm trying to be the best. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do what's right. I'm just trying to be consistent. And when I say trying to do what's right, I'm trying to do what's right for me. No one else. Fuck everybody else. For me, I know what's right. I'm trying to do what's right for me. So I'm trying to be consistent. I went through a very long period of my life being unpredictable.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
And it's exhausting.
So that's probably the answer to the question, actually, is that the lore of people that maybe haven't seen you for a while is that, oh, here comes Theo. And then,
that guy's crazy as fuck.
Well, no, or just unpredictable. Yeah. And then the flip is, here's someone I didn't expect. Yeah. You know, it's like, I know sometimes when I can walk into a room, people, not that they're afraid of me, but they think that I'm going to be not as friendly as I end up actually being. You know, I'm the person that you'll meet and you'll end up telling me your entire life, like within 10 minutes. But I don't think that's the perception that people have of me until they've actually been around me.
They're expecting different maternal energy.
Yeah, they're expecting a different kind of thing. So that's kind of the...
And some people don't expect certain people to be shy and certain people to be a certain way, and they don't expect, they don't know what to expect, especially if if you're really, deep in this game and you're playing very different people and that's their perception of you is you're very different all the time. There are certain artists that, unfortunately they come on something. I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know who that is. And I know that that's probably who they are off screen as well, because that's who they are in everything. Mm-hmm. Right. But when someone like you is playing someone different all the time, it makes people on their back foot because they're like, wait, who am I getting here? Exactly. What is this? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the difference with the public knowledge of yourself.
See, and I do not lean into that. I've seen people that do lean into the character image of what, like if they played a scary person, they're going to come in and wear that scary person to any social. And I don't feel like I do that.
No,
I don't think I do that. So
There's no consistency in those people, and that's
right.
the thing where I'm trying. Again, I started this thing when we first started talking. Is you learn more what not to do.
Right.
What I've learned is like the people in the business we exist in. Every time I see them, it's something new, and it's some type of like reinvention of who they are, and there's no consistency. And what I've really tried to be is consistent. That doesn't mean that my characters aren't all wildly different. It just means that me as a person is consistent, because I think that everybody's searching all the time. And if I can, so the original me, the unpredictable me, if people haven't seen me in a while, yeah, they think of one thing. And then remember, ours is a very different life because they're judging you on a pretense of something you might have been as, you know, Peg Bundy or Gematella or someone. It's someone totally different than they're not judging you on Katey. They don't know Katey.
Right.
They know this, so they don't know what they're going to get, and that makes them kind of off because expectations are a strange thing. So I'm just in a face value type of my life where, what do you got for me? Who are you?
Yeah. Such a great energy. Such a great energy.
Really cool.
What's our next? We're going to look at our script.
We should eat. I think we should eat some.
We should eat pie. I think is it time to eat, Katey? So this is the part of our show where isn't that wild that we're saying this is the part of our show. Part of our program. Our program. We ask everybody to let us know what their favorite pie is or dessert.
Yep.
And then we want to hear why it's that. And we want to sort of discuss why your choice was your choice. So what's Theo's choice?
It's all Theo chose cheesecake pie.
Cheesecake pie.
Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here it comes. Wait a minute. Did you get a piece?
Do you have some?
Did they bring you some?
I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell you why.
Because you don't eat it.
Because I'm going to tell you, here's the thing. I've renounced pie ever since I was in a prison cell with pie. I don't really eat pie. Okay, that's number one.
Really?
Number two.
I fucked up pie for you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, you fucked up pie.
Oh
okay, so
God.
I don't really, and by the way, potentially cake. So now here's the thing.
I'm eating
So
it.
besides the pie and the cake, for this I said, hey, you know what? Maybe it's time to turn the corner. Life is about changing. And guess what? I live on this ranch, kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but up in hill country. And the pie got delivered, and the pie melted to the core and got rotted. And let me tell you something. That's a sign that I ain't supposed to eat this goddamn pie.
Wait a minute.
So
what happened? It melted?
You ordered pie.
The pie was left out.
Katey ordered it.
The pie was left out.
Right.
And Katey ordered it for me. The wonderful Katey ordered it. The other Katey. And I brought along, because there is no pie in my house. I can't even go to a backup pie or cake in this house. So I have dark chocolate, which I'm going to eat.
Very good.
Which is in my hands. Because I love it, and it's healthy, and it's good for my heart. So I'm going to have a piece of dark chocolate while you guys have some pie.
All right, here's my question.
And I'll be the guest that renounces pie.
Were you a kid that ate a lot of sweets? Were you like a junk?
Crumb cakes?
Yeah, you were that kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sugar, Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles.
Let me tell you something.
Fruity Pebbles.
We're a sugar. I was all about the sugar.
Gotcha.
Sleeves of Chips Ahoy's. Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah. And Entenmann's.
Entenmann's, right? East
Entenmann's
Coast.
crumb cake.
Oh man,
the brown one and the regular.
Fuck.
The Entenmann donut.
Forget
the
about
donut
it.
crumb cakes.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
See, that's what we want. We wanted a little historical story about your life
when I
with
tell you,
sweets.
did I eat it? This was a nightly Entenmann crumb cake nightly, which is a cake. And if you're going pie, when I was young, it was always carrot cake, cheesecake. I guess these aren't pies. But I guess, is a carrot cake a pie? Is a cheesecake a pie?
No, I think they're cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the name cake.
They look
in
like
them.
pies.
They look like pies.
Fine.
Well,
What's the difference?
But wait a minute. I
Pie
fucked
has a
up
crust.
pie for you. I fucked up dessert for the rest of your life.
Pie. Can I tell you why?
Oh my God.
Here's the thing. Here's why. There are two things that people like to bring to me when we meet people,
fuck.
and when they're two things.
So
people
sorry.
love to bring me pie.
Oh God.
They love to bring me pie.
I hate people.
And they always want to know what kind of pie it was, right? So they bring it to me and they want to take a picture of us taking a bite together. I did that for a minute and then I thought, I'm not going to do this anymore. And they also like to bring me diapers. So that's a good thing. You did two things. You did pies and diapers.
That's so
I've signed a lot of diapers in my life.
Oh my God.
I've actually signed a lot of forks. I remember
A lot of forks.
after the airing
I'll
of
take
that
a fork
episode,
over a diaper.
Yeah, like the day after
gonna
the
have some
episode
cheesecake.
aired, I'm in a record store signing forks. I mean, it was crazy.
No, but this is the best part about, and just let me go, not to take a dovetail because I know we're on pies, to the diaper stuff. That was before the show came out. It was episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing downtown with these combat boots on and a diaper on, and I have these tattoos on my head. And remember, by season 7, there was like 500 people watching us film. At this point, people were walking by going, "What's going on here?" And I was like, we're doing a TV show. And they were like, "What?" And all I had was a diaper and combat boots on and this sign stapled to my chest. And people go, "Okay, well, good luck with it." I was like, "Yeah,
Good luck, man.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm telling you.
Good luck
so
to
funny.
you. Oh my God.
Good luck on your little show." Yeah. So pie wise, I'm gonna have. What are you guys having?
We have this cheesecake.
We have I guess this is a thing that rotted at your house.
Yeah, we have some cheesecake.
Yeah, it's right here. Look, it's right here. My wife said, "You might want to try it." She goes, "You should take a piece, but you might get sick." And I said, "I'll just have the chocolate."
Yeah, just have the chocolate. And this is also the other part of our show. We'd like to hear anything that you would like to either promote, let us know
all
that you're doing,
your charity
all
work
your
and shit.
charity work,
So
whatever
this is- sell it,
work
baby,
stuff
sell it.
you want to talk about.
Yeah, charity, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
No.
Here's, there's a bunch. I have a lot of stuff coming out this year. I don't like talking about that stuff. It is like, it'll be cool. There's great shows and movies and everybody will watch them and it's fun and who cares?
Okay.
And they're going to be great. And, I'm still doing stuff constantly for, any type of animal welfare. I've done a bunch of different campaigns with a lot of our friends, mutual friends. My wife is doing all land conservation now. She's become into that now. So we're just trying to do what we can when we can. But no, I don't want to ever be one of these people that talks about themselves. I think it's silly.
Well,
So I would promote this show, and I promote people to just get their heads out of their asses and be good people.
right.
If that's something.
And
we can
give to
promote.
whatever charity that is that you know.
Whatever you listen,
Whatever
give to
you like.
give to yourself, and then that'll give to others. Be kind to yourself, and then be the best version of yourself, and that's the best charity you can do.
Oh, Theo, I'm going to quote you.
Wow.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I'm still all fucked up that I've fucked up pie for you for the rest of your life.
Of course you did.
Wow.
Okay.
It was one of the most traumatic things ever.
Even though, didn't you eat sugar on Sons? I want to say, no, you would do like these wacky sort of
Stevia.
Was it stevia? But then
Yeah.
you'd also do these like I learned so much about like not eating before you're gonna have to take your shirt off, and then then drink a ton of water,
Yeah.
then eat a bunch of
Yeah.
something. It was like
Yeah.
you were like a health food store.
Yeah,
you
it
were
was
like,
Yeah.
it was fun watching you and Hunnam compete in terms of like
the naked push-ups.
yeah, like
the naked push-ups. Yeah.
who had the who had
More
the
abs.
most yeah
who was going for it?
who was more cut
Yeah.
and that was fun.
Yeah, no.
really
I mean,
fun.
his butt cheeks were way more prevalent on the show. He was butt cheeking it up. But I got to tell you, I think you also scarred the audience. Forget about the pie you did to me. Just showing Kim Coates' ass is really just enough to
true.
get
That's true.
anyone
Yeah.
really taken out. Nobody wants to see that cottage cheese out there.
he's
Nobody.
so sweet. We just had him. He was just here with us. It was great. It was really
He's
lovely
such
to
a
see
crazy
him.
bastard. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
him
yeah.
to
Bastard.
death. I still, again, and that's the other thing. I mean, just talking about our time there. I mean, we all still. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. It just doesn't exist anymore, and I think we are the last of that. We all still talk all the time. It is just a whole different thing that's kind of part of this different era of the way we consume things, and that goes for the way our relationships were consumed during it and how the people who were watching it consumed it. And again, everything it leads to, I believe it's the genesis. Some might say it's the pie. It started with the pie of it all. It's a big part of it. And it's definitely a big part of my life pie. So I thank you both. I'm really happy you two are doing it. I love that you're doing this show together.
We love you,
Don't
Theo.
let the red walls get to you. And I think that I can't wait. Katey, I'm going to see you soon.
Yes.
Kurt, congrats on the new show.
Thanks, brother.
And
say love to your wife
my love
and
to all
kids.
those animals.
Yes, and to your wife and kids and all your chickens or whatever it is you have out there.
Goats, chickens,
chickens,
cats.
Look at this nice city boy. Look at you. I know you grew up in the streets, and look at you now.
Yeah,
you're on the farm.
Now look at me. I'm lugging hay.
You're a different kind of hustler, my
That's
friend.
right.
I really am. I'm a hay hustler now. I'm down at the local feed store all the time, just talking shit.
God bless.
Funny.
It's amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, we love you.
Both.
We love you, Theo.
Thank you
so much for giving us your time.
For being with us people. I know when you say you don't like people, I know you don't mean us. Because we're not super fond of people either.
Like if we did it every day, I would start to despise you. But now we just love each other.
100%. Nobody talks like this every day.
That's right. I have
we
lunch.
Don't even talk
I have
every
lunch
day.
with Hunnam twice a year, and we're as tight as fuck.
You can't.
Man.
I mean, listen. Yeah, I text with Perlman. I can't talk to these people all the time. Yeah, no, I love them. Yeah. Anybody too much. Yeah. No, too big a personality.
That's why animals are so great.
Yes.
That's why animals.
Yes.
Are so
All right, my friend.
All right,
we love
darling.
you.
I love you both.